Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Information Services Sub-Forum. Today, we have invited various Malaysia intelligence user specialists as well as medical users to share with us the current needs of today's markets and technical development. Besides, we have also invited local users of information services and the representatives of smart hospitals who are not only equipped with AI and IoT skills, but have also established information systems overseas with evident results. They will be here today to share with us their knowledge of current trends among the development of skills and application through their personal success and experiences. I would like to invite Yu Xianghong from Institute for Information Industry to deliver his opening remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great pleasure to have you here. My name is Dr. Garfield Hong. On behalf of the Institute of Information Industries, named as a III, I would like to give my warm welcome to all the guests to the 2020 Taiwan Malaysia Industry Collaboration Summit IT Service Sub-Forum today. Taiwan is famous throughout the world with the development of the smart application and the IoT field, such as hardware, equipment, and the software application. IT companies of Taiwan have accumulated broad experience and the domain know-how throughout the last 40 years. And the solution have been widely used in manufacturing and healthcare, as well as other professional domains, and of course, in our daily life. How could a small island like Taiwan have achieved such great achievement in the IT solution technology in the world? The secret in this is that we solve the factory management and the production problem of the manufacturing industry. The major reason is that we have a great, strong manufacturing industry. This provides a great platform for our IT solution in the test bed. In terms of the smart healthcare section, our IT solution have facilitated the healthcare management of patient condition and the surgery process, which enhance the quality and the efficiency of the healthcare resource. Today, we invite 3 experts from the Taiwan and Malaysia to share their successful experience in smart IT application in the industry prospect with us. We sincerely hope you will learn more about the Taiwan smart manufacturing and the smart healthcare solutions through today's conference. And also, I hope we can bring the opportunity for the cooperation between Malaysia and Taiwan. Wish you all have a successful and a fruitful event. Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Hong. The next opening remarks will be delivered by representative from Malaysia Digital Economic Corporation, Ryan Chen, Head of Global Business Development of MDEC. Welcome, Ryan.
A very good morning, 早安, or selamat pagi as we say in Malaysia. So my name is Ryan and I represent Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or MDEC for short. First of all, I'd like to thank the Institute of Information Industry, III of Taiwan, for inviting us to participate in this year's edition of the Malaysia Taiwan Industrial Summit once again, particularly the IT Services Sub-Forum that we're having today. Now this year obviously has been a very challenging, extraordinary and very unique year for all of us. You know, as governments all over the world are grappling with a global pandemic that's still going on, and also with the ensuing economic fallout that's happening as well. However, one thing that we noticed, and this is I think something that's noticed around the world as well, is that the digital industry or the IT industry remains resilient and is a bright spot for the economy. We see this in the way that we've transformed the way that we work, live, and play in the last 6 months, which would never have been possible without the use of technology. In fact, the very format that we have today, that's all thanks to the technology that we are able to deploy. So we see that technology companies are thriving and continue to be able to impact and affect the way that we are able to continue life as normal as much as possible. Now, since 1996, MDEC has been working together with the government of Malaysia to lead the development of the local IT industry. We focus on 3 pillars. So number 1, digitally skilled Malaysians. So we provide opportunities to upskill and reskill all Malaysians to ensure that they're able to participate in the digital economy. Number 2, digitally powered businesses. We provide end-to-end support for businesses across the whole spectrum, from growing startups to digitalizing our SMEs and globalizing our scale-ups to ensure that they are part of the whole internet economy as well. And number 3, we look into digital investments, driving foreign direct investments into Malaysia, particularly in the sector of digital. So today we're honored that we're able to share the stage together with our counterparts from Taiwan, where we're able to showcase some of the best and brightest companies from both Malaysia and Taiwan, and to use this platform as an opportunity for us to exchange information, to learn from each other, to gain more knowledge, and as well as to build closer working relations across our 2 countries. So, once again, I thank you for your support and your participation. I'm positive that you will be able to learn a lot of, take away a lot of key learnings from the keynotes that comes on later on today. So, thank you very much. 谢谢. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Ryan Chen. In this rapidly changing environment, the importance of digital manufacturing has increased, and it allows an iterative production, beneficial to meet consumers' demand. We are honored to introduce our first keynote speaker, Mr. Stephen Zhang, the founder of Nadi System Co. from Taiwan, to tell us about how AI IoT smart your factory. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Zhang.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen from NADI. And today we are here to share our experience in smart factory and focus on using digital twin and see how AI and IoT benefit in factories. NADI is a software developer dedicated in 3D system innovation. And we are committed to smart solution and integration of virtual and physical environment and proving a more effective method from management. NADI provides a 3D system like the BIM in the construction industry and like the digital twin in manufacturing industry. The application of technology is making the process of manufacturing ever increasing, intelligent, and dynamic, allowing the concept of the smart factory to become a reality. So what is a smart factory? It is a description and highly digitalized and connected environment where machinery, and equipment are able to improve process through automation, and benefit also extend to functions like the planning, supply chain logistics, and even product development. The structure of a smart factory can include a combination of production, information, and communication technology with potential for integration across the entire manufacturing supply chain. All the elements of the production that I mentioned above can be connected through the IoT device, which enable sensing, measuring, and control and communication of everything that's happening throughout the manufacturing process. how do the global corporation management their manufacturing around the world? There are many information management problems. We saw in our previous experience. In this slide, you can see there's multiple systems working independent event access. The management multiple system unit operation, independent map of each system, and so on. Data, information integration, comprehensive safety response, disaster prevention command message, and management like the status, alert, decision. Also, we saw the problem of the manpower and information ground reverse. To make a small conclusion, these are the problem and the point of the traditional manufacturing. The one, sensor and information are increasing. The labor costs are rising and the talent become rare. Data quantity and complexity is growing at an explosion rate. Each system is standalone and no integration central management system. Legacy systems are not connected and no event correlation between devices. Dashboards are static, doesn't provide actionable insight, and 2D interface limited the user awareness, and traditional assistant report cannot comply with the need of the manager. So in order to solve this problem, we use a three dimension as a foundation to create solution. The first, interaction. The goal is to provide a set of the functions that can receive a real-time status, synchronize with the manager's operation mode, and have an interactive guiding and knowledgeable working ability. The second, visualization. When the administrator operating the system synchronizes the action with the system or front-end device information with the simulation. And simulation action and present it with an intuitive virtual effect. That's the one integration. We hope to achieve visualize central management platform with a visual simulation. Why we need smart factory? Yeah, the factory presentation of the artificial intelligence is reflecting the true status of the factory data, like the 3D management visualization and the true virtual digitalized simulation planning description. It's the creation, planning, and blend spot. The traditional war that's we can see the traditional war room. Here are some picture of the traditional war room, and so we are trying to digitalize the traditional war room to so smart factory can collect all the information and make better use. like the enterprise global view and industry 4.0 foundation real-time KPI data centralized in the dashboard, build up central management system and multiple dimension introduce an intuitive management system, data collaboration across multiple sites, and share information with the third party, and more efficient inventory management thing to BI and OT integration like that. Do you considering the data visualization as a data dashboard? Yeah, if yes, you only get it half right. The data visualization is correct, but it needs to mapping the geolocation to the exact position. That is that. The key point of the war room have to include a central management meeting room in an information platform system and a production line of the 2D or 3D. Everyone can see the video. It's a real manufacturing video. This is the 3D war room system structure. We use based on the percentage data, the technology, the system we use the process system data and through the communication with combined with the 3D OCMS and through API module to integrate with subsystem. Here the systems, everyone can see we'll take a look at the video. The video the video is next manufacturing and management system. We hope to provide a less true digital twin system and to help the manager how to manage layer a smart factory. So we think why we want the digital twins. So this smart factory, the technology is using a digital twin, the idea of the digital twin to do the real-time simulation. And we use the integrate the subsystem remotely and more remotely geolocation and to get the data analysis and how to help manager to automation. That is the digital twin structure. We're using the digital twin structure from the to get from the center and connect to a controller, and we connect to the system, and finally the whole data include to a management system that is the OCMS. Yes, now through behind the management of the smart application of the focus is not on the automation, but on the unified brain. Also, we provide local cloud service, and then we provide full cloud service, even the hybrid. and to provide the service. And then we use the digital twin platform to extend the application, like the maintenance by AR. And why we want to use the digital twin? Because we can use the especially video streaming. We use video streaming implement to the 3D platform like that. We use the 3D especially in factory the video can make management to monitoring, directly monitoring and the whole manufacturing status. So the camera live stream is very important. Finally, we think we should provide cross-platform mobility management, the system, like the video, how to use the camera, the system to provide every manager, anytime, anywhere, and anyone. Yes, visualization. As we think, visualization is the vision of the power. So NADI is the future. And thank you, everyone, coming listen to our presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Zhang. For all audiences join us now, as we are going to have a Q&A session later, please leave your questions in the chat box beside. If you would like a specific speaker to answer the question, please mention the speaker name first, then the question. Next, let's welcome Mr. Sim Hong Wei, COO of MTT Innovations Malaysia, to share his presentation.
Hi, good morning. My name is Hong Wei Sim, Shen Han Wei. 大家好，早上好. Today, my topic is about digitalizing brick and mortar. Why the topic of brick and mortar? I think pretty simple. It's brick and mortar industries are the one that is most affected in today's digital world. So during the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'd like to talk about how 6 steps from MDT will be able to transform a typical brick and mortar business. Of course, it's going to be more polite for me to introduce company MDT Innovations as a snapshot. We have been around since 2004. We have been known as IoT enabler, focusing on people, things, and also fintech with core technologies in embedded and AI, neural network. We've got a lot of accolades, third-party recognitions from people like Gartner. We were Gartner Cool Vendor. If you Google us, you probably will find us. We were Frost & Sullivan, best IoT, most outstanding IoT companies in Asia Pacific. And to name a few, wouldn't want to spend too much time on talking about awards. And of course, as a company itself, financially, we have been pretty remarkable. We've been profitable since day one. We were the fastest growing Deloitte most Fast 500 companies, ranked number 12 back then. And since inception, like I said, we've been profitable. We've been having some technical breakthrough. If you look at the bottom, we have 38 IPs filed, global presence as far as Europe, Japan, China, including Africa of late. And we have also started to transform MNC factories, started in 2012. Some of them are Fortune 500 companies, mega factories. In 2015, we have doubled our sales to 100 million, and 2 years later, we doubled up again up to about 200 million. And last year, we even set up our own manufacturing factory producing RFID inlays and labels with the capacity of 1 billion pieces. So I think in the areas of manufacturing, we probably have a lot of experiences that we can share to everyone. And I think next we would like to look into very important question, what the benefits of digital transformation in manufacturing. I think everyone knows that and all factories, all factory owners and managers are looking into increased OEE, cost reduction, of course, quality assurance must be tip-top. Yield rate is actually increased as close as 100% as possible, and of course, quick innovations. But from the statistics that we have found, only 4% have fully implemented digital transformation. Most of them are still started talking, discussion, implementation stage, and so on and so forth. So I think the adoption of digital transformation, especially in manufacturing, has been a bit lacking, not only in Malaysia, but I think the rest of the world as well. So I think what brings me here today is actually to let everyone know about our 6 steps in connecting manufacturing. All right. So step number 1, we'll look into how we can convert manufacturing floor space, from analog into digital. This is a very important step whereby factories will have legacy machines. They cannot produce digital data, so we make machines connectable. Factories may have behavior, that can be important to be analyzed, so we make storages that are connectable. And then, of course, analog data can be produced by condition of machines, movement, people, environment in the factory itself. So hence, we also look into raw materials connectivity too. If you look into how we actually look into the digitalization of factory, our philosophy has always been looking into retrofitting and interoperability. So it is important to know the status movement, inputs and outputs, data of raw materials, and this will enable factory managers to actually do a data-driven decision and, of course, reduce downtime. Of course, these are only just your production machines, your lines of production in the factory, which may not necessarily be the only thing that you should transform. There will be areas whereby workers need to be measured as well. So there are areas related to occupational health, occupational diseases like noise-induced hearing loss, musculoskeletal disorders that needs to be addressed. Injuries can cause burden to healthcare and insurance. And also there are researchers that injuries and death in workplace, especially in manufacturing, will cost more than 5 billion ringgit, especially only in Malaysian context. Of course, so what we look into is always about workplace safety, occupational health and safety compliances. So that is why we introduce workers' safety and health check. So this solution comprises of using multiple types of devices in order to measure work performances, safety, whereabouts, and as simple as attendance. So this is actually how we look into from manufacturing line and connect to workers as well. Of course, manufacturing line and workers may just be the first 2 steps. There will be environment in the manufacturing plant, that needs to be protected or measured. For example, there are situations whereby certain fixtures or certain assets in your manufacturing line are hazardous to workers or even to the visitors as well. So that is why we have retrofitted sensors along the factory lines, along the factory premises in order to measure whether they are as full, with great integrity. So one of the case studies that we have done is actually by retrofitting G sensors, into manufacturing warehouse rack, with any impact, being actually created in the workplace, these things are fully alerted to the production plant managers. And of course, not only that, there are other environment, for example, your electricity, your storages, and your air quality can also be measured by retrofitting sensors into your production and your manufacturing plant. So we talk about machineries, we talk about people, we talk about fixtures. So I think very importantly, we need to look into the mechanical aspect as well, because what I talked about just now was merely about electronic retrofitting. Of course, there are conditions whereby machines need to be operated by man, by human being, which may not be 100% replaceable by machines. That is where mechanical design is very important. So at MDT, we look into using robotics, AGVs, or even mechanical smart arm in order to operate as simple as emergency start-stop of the machine. So this is very important for factories who want to actually reduce manpower, retrain them for other high quality or knowledge-based working environment, and at the same time, we'll be able to retrofit, and also convert certain manufacturing line to either semi-autonomous or even fully autonomous without replacing the existing production machines. So that is very important aspect, from what we at MDT will be able to provide. All right, so I think after you have all these things being retrofitted, very importantly, I think what we talk about is these are data points that you can measure, that you can actually look at, and you can extrapolate this data into some other services. So data logging is important, dashboard, that will be able to actually produce certain reports, will be actually extremely necessary in order for the factory managers or even owners to look into productivity, some emergencies, and also some other planning, in terms of whether they will be able to, scale up their production in order to actually accept and sign up more contracts. So data logging is going to be important. But of course, ultimately, everyone talks about it. It's actually creating cognitive computing. So an AI portion is going to be essentially important in smart manufacturing, whereby it allows manufacturing owners and even plant managers to predict what is happening in the production plant. So I think everyone talks about AI. A lot of topics and discussions has been mentioned about AI. So I think from here, what we want to highlight is we are looking into introducing a form of propensity model in order to achieve our goals in artificial intelligence. I think there will be a lot of articles out there who mention about AI but do not or have not actually been able to describe the propensity model that they've been using. So at us, at MDT, we are using what we call design or experiment to actually pick up multiple input factors, and we use genetic algorithm in order to produce a result, essentially using neural network solution in order to predict outcome. So that is what we have been using in our own design. We use our AI algorithm in order to design antenna. We are also using AI in order to look into how we can improve manufacturing and production line. So from step 1, we connect to the machines. Step 2, we connect to the workers. Step 3, the environment. Step 4, look into the mechanicals. Step 5, look into data-driven points and also data collections. And step 6 is about cognitive computing and AI. So this will be entire A to Z transformation of a factory. So if you look into the summary of transformation in one of the factories or any of the factories, is always involving a full chain of technologies. It's not just big data alone. It's not just AI alone. It's not just IoT alone. So it will start with embedded and mechanical engineering. You need to look into how you can actually put in sensors, measurement points in order to make sense to the factory. Of course, in existing factories, especially brick and mortars, you can't do a lot of wiring. So therefore, wireless transmission design is also very important. All MDT's implementation are all wirelessly done. So the capability of designing your own antenna and also designing your transmission capability is going to be ultimately important for data points to be collected. Of course, not to forget platform services. You need to get all this data back to either on-premise solution or on-cloud solution, which we are open. Understand that a lot of factories are not very keen on cloud. Eventually, I feel that it may come in, but on-prem services is also possible. And of course, ultimately, there will be software and application services, including AI and machine learning, which will come into the entire chain of transformation. So I think digitalization of manufacturing is not always simple, but I think with step 1 to step 6, from MDT, we will have actually an entire suite of solutions and also plan on how to transform a factory. So I think there are many more success stories and benefits of connected factories. I think I'm quoting here, if you look at the screen, 99% of a South Korean-based pharmaceutical company, are actually being done with RFID. There are also hospitals, that are actually looking into digitalizing laundry and linens itself. And also there will be 100% of distribution in a cement company, they are measured. So I'll bring you into a few case studies. For example, in South Korea, Hanmi, it's a pharmaceutical company. They produce 500 different types of medical products, including solid formulation, tablets, liquid, so which means, hence, different kind of form factors in terms of packaging. But they have successfully used RFID across all drug products and actually increased the logistic solutions and logistic pain points that they have before using RFID or using before going into digital transformation, right? So the next case studies I would like to highlight is healthcare systems. So I think in healthcare environment there are assets and fixtures that need to be measured. In asset management of healthcare, as we have done in National Cancer Institute of Malaysia, assets are often missing, not able to be located, not able to be calibrated and sterilized quick enough. So this is where live asset tracker is implemented in a hospital. Of course, not to forget linen, which may sound very lame. Why linen? Is because people just don't count linens that are sent for washing because it's dirty, contaminated with blood, with urine, with virus and bacteria. So they go on weight. So what we do is actually we put on linen RFID into every single piece of cloth. So therefore we can count what are the number of quantities that are going out and coming in from the laundry plant. So essentially we are actually digitalizing a lot of operation aspect of the healthcare in the hospital itself, right? Of course, not to forget one of my early implementation in 2006 and 2007, which is for a cement factory. YTL Cement Group currently produces 1 million tons of cement per annum and distribute it through 700 batching plants and a fleet of 700 lorries in Malaysia only. And of course, not to forget, they have railway transportation from the north to the south, down to Singapore. So some of the plants are as old as 40 years old. So how a 40-year-old plant can also embrace digital transformation? This is how we come in, retrofit sensors, retrofit connectivities into their logistic, into the weighing, into their silos, so that these things are digitally managed and measured. All right, so that is in cement manufacturing. Of course, not to forget, in semiconductor industry itself, my case study in Infineon, all workers are tagged with RFID, with a linen tag, sewn on their smock. When they enter in the plant, they're detected. In a factory in Malacca called Boeing Tech, so we use AI in order to actually measure the workforce in and out of the plant. So these things are all matured enough, and you look at the video, it's pretty fast to detect a crowd. It will be split second for anyone who walk past, so that is important. It can be extrapolated to production line, whereby you can measure whether the person or the operator is in this workstation for the entire 8 hours or entire shift. So that is very important for your workforce measurement. So I think these 3 to 4 case studies are enough to prove that traditional brick and mortar businesses, healthcare, cement, and also pharmaceutical, has transformed themselves into digital. All right, so this is the last slide. I would like to end up with some sort of takeaway. I think everyone talk about digital transformation. Have you ever thought what will be potential savings and performance gain in key sectors if you just slash 1% of the cost? So I think this publication by GE reflected that billions of dollars can be saved by every industry: aviation, power, healthcare, railway, oil and gas. All these are the potential savings that you can actually achieve by using digital transformation. So it is important for you to look into how you plan your digital journey, look for people who can help, look for people who can do a lot of planning and retrofitting and with full suites of technology. So those are the key criteria for successful digital transformation. So I think with that, I end my presentation and my session. Thank you very much.
Of Shouchuan Healthcare System to share about successful cases of smart healthcare in Taiwan. Let's welcome Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to give a talk here today. I'm Wen-Chin Lee from Sichuan Healthcare System. I will be talking about innovating the value of smart hospital through cloud-based technology. First of all, I want to introduce Sichuan Healthcare System. We have 8 hospitals located from northern, middle to southern Taiwan. We also have 2 IT companies. The aim of smart hospital development of Sichuan Healthcare System include infrastructure improvement, process improvement, and service optimization. With the advancement of innovation technology, we use electronic devices instead of paper. As the popular use of computer, we can discuss with patient or family at the nursing station by looking at the screen. Later, we use mobile nursing car for ward round. Now, we can use tablet to discuss with patient or family at bedside. The characteristic of our information development is on the process side, we emphasize cross-department cooperation. On the operation side, we value user-oriented projects. On the system side, we focus on intelligent integration. The intelligent product of Sichuan Healthcare System are the core is HIS system, and we develop the smart hospital. Also mobile EMR for physicians and nurses. We also develop eVIP, eBaby, and the telehealth system for our patients and the community people. When the patients enter the hospital lobby, we have an interface wall. It is interesting and has function of augmented reality health education for the visitors. When talking about our smart outpatient clinic, we develop automatic upload of blood pressure and automatic check-in system. As patients check blood pressure outside of office, I will be automatic upload to HIS. Doctor can directly see the data at the clinic screen. When the patient arrives at clinic, he can check in successfully by inserting his health insurance card. It will not interfere with other patients. In order to assist patients who visit multiple discipline clinics at the same time, we have developed a real-time outpatient information system. It can display real-time outpatient information at the public area. Patients can know the progress of different clinics from this system. In a smart wall, we developed the bedside patient information system to promote communication between doctors, nurses, and the patients. The function includes patient condition interpretation, treatment schedule, environmental information, nursing call, education information, and the message to patients. In the smart laboratory, we developed the automatic laboratory tube preparation and the delivery system. It can reduce manpower and reduce human errors. We developed a smart electronic board for nursing station to help nurses understand the overall dynamic condition of the wall. The size is around 55 inch. 按不下去。The function of smart electronic board include nursing treatment schedule, care schedule information, admission and discharge monitoring, unit contact information, emergency information, and the operation room information. We have developed a smart QR code system for use in outpatient and inpatient care. In the outpatient clinic, we use the smart QR code to help patient identification, medication identification, and check medication dosage. When the patient is admitted from emergency department or admission center of outpatient, the patient will wear a personal wristband containing QR code. We use it to help patient identification and reduce human errors when the patients go to pharmacy, laboratory, or examination room. In terms of the application of IoT, we developed the system of automatic transmission of medical data and upload to HIS in hemodialysis machine, anesthesia machine, and the ventilation machine. When use this system, the process is patient identification, then physiology data output, and later upload data to HIS. The advantage is more convenience, reduce writing errors, and the easy access of information. Artificial intelligence medical applications have developed rapidly in recent years, especially the field of image diagnosis. We introduced AI to help diagnosis of intracranial hemorrhage because intracranial hemorrhage is an emergency and sometimes urgent surgery is required. In the intelligent logistic management, we use environmental inspection system, bag cleaning system, and the specimen delivery system to improve process, promote efficiency, and reduce errors. We also integrate the bag cleaning system and the electronic board to make the work of nurses more convenient and efficient. After patient checkout, the system will automatically send a cleaning notice to staff. The bag cleaning staff automatically accept the notice to clean the bed. After the cleaning is complete, it will automatically update the cleaning status at the screen. So the patient, people, and our staff do not use the telephone. We developed the smart mobile EMR so that doctors can still understand the patient's condition after leaving hospital. The mobile EMR can display medical records, include admission note, progress note, consultation record, laboratory data, image, medication, and the TPR record. Of course, this system has permission control to protect patient privacy. In order to let the patient understand the situation of the hospital, the doctor's expertise, the outpatient time, the visit progress, and the traffic time schedule, we developed the Xiuchuan Healthcare app. In summary, the flow of our smart outpatient visit is at home. Patient can make an appointment by app, see visit progress at the app, see traffic time schedule at the app, and the patient visit OPD. As patient check blood pressure, it will automatically upload to HIS. He can automatically check in by Health IC card. He can see the real-time outpatient information at the public area. And when he visits the examination room, the technician uses QR code for patient identification. The image will automatically upload to HIS. When checked out, patient can automatically check out by the teller machine. At the pharmacy, the pharmacist use QR code for drug identification and the patient identification. After back home, patient can upload blood pressure, blood sugar, calorie consumption, sleep quality record to hospital cloud. Healthcare coordinator can interact with patients. The smart QR code, smart hospital care solution are a QR code, and the second, the electronic board, the third, the mobile EMR, the fourth, smart bedside information system, and the fifth, intelligent logistic management system. We developed an EVIP platform to store patients' medical record and health information. As the agreement of patients, this data will upload to EVIP. Patients can open their own files through account and the password. The scenario is when a patient travels abroad, he has sudden discomfort and visit local hospital. Then he opens EVIP platform, obtain the personal disease history, drug history, laboratory data. The local doctor can easily to approach the personal condition. With this system, patients no more need carry paper medical record. He can open his health information anytime and anywhere. The same as EVIP, we developed eBaby platform to take care of mothers and their babies. As the tailored healthcare solution, we introduce in our high-end health check members when a patient or sub-healthy person use sphygmometer or wearable device, the physiology data will upload to EVIP platform. It also will send a short message to oneself and the healthcare coordinator. So the healthcare coordinator can feedback to the person. This is the flow of cloud-based application of healthcare device in patients and sub-health persons. As the wearable device upload data of blood pressure, calorie consumption, and sleep quality to cloud, doctors and the healthcare coordinators can conduct health education based on the patient's record. This is the use of cloud-based application of blood pressure ECG for hemodialysis patients. With this system, doctors and the nurses can take care of hemodialysis patients more closely during the dialysis process. This is the real situation. Patients with blood pressure and the ECG device at the hemodialysis center. Then upload data of blood pressure and the ECG to central monitor of nursing station. The data will display at the computer screen. We also introduce this device to isolation room. It can reduce the time of contact with infected patients. For diabetic patients, the blood sugar control is important. We use cloud-based application of blood sugar monitor in diabetic patients. Doctors can know the patient's blood sugar value. He also can interact with patients to give suggestions. Community is an extension of hospital care. We developed the community activity footprint system for our community activity staff. With this system combined map, it can check in, save photos, and record activity. So it can enhance the relationship with the community people. In summary, I have shown the development of Xiuchuan Healthcare Total Solution to integrate care between hospital, community, home, and the personal. And finally, I would like to thanks for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Next, let's welcome Mr. Zhixiang Yi, CTO of Stratec Malaysia. A session later, please leave your questions in the chat box beside. If you would like a specific speaker to answer the question, please mention the speaker name first, then the question. Ladies and gentlemen, due to some technical problems, we would like you to have your patience to wait for a few minutes. We thank you for your cooperation. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen in Taiwan and Malaysia. 大家好. My name is Jixiong Yi, and I am the Group CTO of Stratec, and I am going to share one of our smart healthcare stories to you today. Okay, so first is, let me introduce Stratec to you. Stratec has been in ICT industry for 37 years now, and we started as system integrator, and then we expanded to data center, disaster recovery, business continuity, petrol retail, and then also to the healthcare industry. We have been in healthcare industry for 23 years now, and serving 30 public and private hospitals in Asia and also in USA, with total of 5,000 beds and also nearly 10,000 users. After that, then we venture into big data analytics, machine learning, IoT market, and then recently also we venture into defense and security technology. So we have been in the market for quite some time now. And next is to introduce myself. Okay, I'm a group CTO, and I've been in this company almost 30 years now. Started as software engineer, and then worked in many enterprise system integration projects. And then I venture into data warehouse, online analytics technologies, and then ERP, data center, disaster recovery arenas. Then I got into healthcare in 2012, co-founded Stratec Health US, which I'm currently based on, and then architected our 4th generation EHR. We call it 37 degrees, which is 37 degrees Celsius represent the healthy body temperature. And then our 37 degrees in AWS as a SaaS EHR for US healthcare market. So we launched it last year into the US healthcare market already. And the case study that I'm going to share to you is about a rural hospital in Alabama. And they have this short-term acute care for the inpatient, outpatient, and also they have emergency services. And the challenge was they were using a very old legacy EHR system. And they were looking for alternative for replace that because of to use that legacy system, it is first it's not compliant to the US meaningful use requirement, and also very costly to maintain it because they required a third-party service provider to host it and manage it for them. And they have been looking for solution for quite some time, and they even signed up with Cerner. And in the process of implementing the Cerner system, and then they halt halfway due to various reasons. And then one of our mutual partner introduced us to this hospital, And in somehow we fit the bill awesomely with our true native cloud architecture and deliver in a SaaS subscription model. And yet it is highly configurable for the workflow and also robust integration engine for them. So that fit the bill with low cost, high tech, easy to implement, short time for implementation. All right, so that was their challenge. This is the summary of the case study. And our solution. So first is our solution come with this intuitive UI UX, which significantly reduce the learning curve and reduce the implementation time because of it's so easy to pick up by the users, by nurse, by administrator, by the provider, the doctors, and the users. So easy to pick up because of the UI and UX is very intuitive. And the screen that you see on the screen, it is the patient dashboard running in Google Chrome web browser. So because of we are using HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript as our front end, also with the responsive design built in, so it can run natively in all major web browser and also tablet. And then we use a open integration engine that to support HL7, EDI, X12, web services, TCP, FTP, JSON, JMS, and so on, whatever you name it in terms of the integration, it's supported. And also with a lot of templates that ready for us to integrate with various type of system and allow us to integrate with their existing third party also, even though some of the Edge system allow us to integrate them into our EHR. Also, our EHR built in with a dynamic form engine that allowed our implementation team and also the hospital informatics to customize the form on the fly to meet their workflow requirement. So that allowed the users or the hospitals that customize the workflow and make their workflow much smarter for their requirement. Like for example, in the clinical requirement, they have the workflow with our dynamic form engine that they can, based on the treatments, based on the symptoms of the patient, and then will come back with the order set and also the form that tie back to that symptom, and then suggest to the provider about the treatment and also the testing. And our solution is natively multi-tier, multi-tenancy, native cloud EHR platform that hosts in AWS within a VPC. So that gives us advantage of using the public cloud on-demand, affordable costing, yet it is highly secured with HIPAA compliance, with a multi-layer security control, encryption, including the database encrypted at rest. And the platform equipped with full redundancy, fault tolerant setup, and built in with disaster recovery across East Coast and the West Coast of USA. So it gives peace of mind to the end user, to the hospital, about this technology that we use, natively cloud-based with all the functions that they need. And the outcome for this project was that we managed to migrate the legacy system into our cloud EHR in 3 months' time, just 3 months' time, as compared to some others that will require 9 months to 12 months to do the implementation. And we saved them at least $1 million on the software alone, and no capex at all, because the whole thing is in the SaaS model. And there are other cost saving also on the hardware, on the IT personnel, also the third party that to help them to manage the IT and so on. And because of this SaaS, our platform is in the SaaS cloud, native cloud base. So they improve a lot in terms of our deployment time. So our system, we can do improvement all the time, and then we do the update deployment to the end user without disrupting their work. It's seamless. So to them, it's like someone already taken care about their IT. And because of we put in a lot of automation and workflow improvement into our implementation, which help them to have a lot more interoperability capability into their system that integrate with not only the legacy system, their departmental system, their partner system, and also to the state and federal government requirement in terms of a data submission. And by the way, when we were doing the implementation for this hospital, the hospital was attacked by a ransomware and to their legacy system. So they blocked their whole IT system for the legacy system, and they have to spend a lot of time to handle that situation. The good thing about is that our strategic system is fully protected and immune from that ransomware attack for that purpose. So we will successfully do this project. So that was the success story that I would like to share to you. And I would like also to thank the organizer providing this opportunity for me to share this story to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yi, for all your sharings. Next, we would like to introduce Mr. Xie Binglong, ASEAN Managing Director of Malaysia Taiwan, to deliver his keynote speech. Title Smart Healthcare Innovation Technology and Application. Welcome, Mr. Xie.
Hello everyone, I'm Baron Xie from Taiwan, Malaysia. I want to introduce you the smart healthcare information technology and application in Taiwan, what we're doing and what we want to help not only in Taiwan, but we want to introduce the solutions into the international one. Okay, you can maybe see some fancy words into the new technology with some robotic AI, big data. Soon Dr. Lee or others presenter already introduce you some fancy technology, what we are doing and we are going to do. So in our experience and our knowledge, we combine this new technology into few topics we want to use in the near future smart healthcare applications and what we say the next generation smart hospital. So you may see some keywords into here, AI, 5G, AR, VR, 4K, 8K images. I know everyone is looking for this. And some telemedicine, some application like telemedicine, medical robots, and most importantly, in the new normal, how we can use this technology in the post-COVID-19 applications. Of course, all this will confirm some digital transformation. That's why we want to introduce and share our experience with you, not only in Taiwan, but also in Malaysia and all of the world. Okay, so we have some trends we think in the future, how we achieve the smart healthcare and smart hospital in the near future. So of course, the first one, how we say the post-COVID-19 applications, and some you may know in Taiwan, and soon it also become the new trend in Malaysia that we will introduce and the 5G technology. So with this 5G technology, we have many digital transformation we can do in the hospital in the world. You can imagine in the number 3, AR, VR, health education. We have a platform. We even use this one all in digital, so you introduce some paperless solutions. And of course, all this is based on a cloud platform. Okay, so not only the transformation technology, we also have some display technology like 4K, 8K image. Of course, not last but not least, the AI platform. So we want to use the new technology to help everybody in the new smart hospital to get better experience in your trip or your journey in the hospital. Okay, so there's some detail we want to we think and we are right now we are working on it. in the near, right now in the Taiwan, and in the near future, maybe you will see in Malaysia. There's some 5G isolation run is suitable for the new COVID-19 post-acute care. Some telemedicine, we use some robots. And there's some e-curtain. We don't need curtain anymore because the curtain you need to clean, it will become some contamination issues. So we will use the display technology to replace the curtain. Of course, we need to optimize and world experience of the human factor design, so that everybody, when you really have the need to live into the world, you feel better before. You will feel like better in that, like your home as in the hospital. Okay, so not only in the world, we also have a clean hospital. So we use the robot platform. So we can also use the 5G smart operation room. So because more bandwidth, wider bandwidth means more clear pictures, more data, more information, and we can use this one into the smart operation room. So there's some few trends. Sorry, some lag. Okay, okay, some AR or VR health education platform. So that's what we want to do. We want to build a clean and green hospital with some paperless solution with new technology, and then optimize the hospital visit experience for everyone. Okay, so how to achieve this one? That's our goal. We want to use the workflow redesign support, personalized device support. With all these supports, not only decision keys and some application and web service, we want to link the caregivers and the patients. So we want to help the caregivers, not only help caregivers, but also the patients, and we want to optimize the better experience of the hospital or your hospital trip visit experience. Okay, so we call this topic as intelligent hospital. So to achieve this vision, we have some strategy. Of course, the first one, patient centers. What is mean patient centered? Because in the past, it's doctor centers. Doctor in the hospital doing what he wants. So we want to change this situation. We want to patient evolve to know what is their treatment, what is their trip into the hospital. We can join the decision. So of course, not only in the hospital, it's hospital, still hospital, so we must make sure the operation running very smoothly with efficiency, but also the clinic must be very excellent. So we have several solutions to achieve that, to make improve the patient certification, to reduce the work burden. So we will introduce a lot of solutions right here. Okay, so you may see, maybe already see some similar solution from Dr. Lee's introduction. So in Taiwan, right now we are very popular. This is very popular in some small smart counter and smart clinic. It means we use a lot display systems to help the patient to know when and where they need to see the doctors. So you will know how many times you need to wait. And so we have some, in Taiwan, we have the national insurance card. You can enter your national insurance card to register to curing. That is one. And we are now, because you may know Taiwan is very good at ICT, so we are now introduce the new technology means e-papers. So we use the e-paper terminal into different inches, different size. So as is with a new technology, economic and green display. So we use this technology with different size into different scenario. Like this one, we use this one as the bed head patient display. So like it's a 9 point, you can call it 10 inches. So it will replace the traditional patient information card at the bedside. So it's linked, and it will show all the information automatically because the system integrates with HIS. And we even have some interaction buttons at the button. So there are 4 buttons. You can be customized in some as nursing code, IV code, ring cleaning, or some emergency code. We even have our RFID sensors on the right. So it will become a closed loop function. What is closed loop function means? because one patient, if I enter some nursing code, is a request. The request may be sent to a nurse or maybe sent to a nurse station. So one nurse get a information, get a request, they need to go to the world to solve this request. So with this RFID, they can sense in their badge. So they will talk to the system when and who go to this world to solve this problem. So we memorize all the tasks into a log, so we will know how to achieve and how to modify our service. So there's some platform we use. You can see that you can monitoring disease. There's many beds in the hospitals. We're monitoring all the bedside display. So this is a real case. It's in National Taiwan University Hospital in there's a new branch in Taiwan, Zhubei. So this is I think right now is the #1 in the world that used 600 pieces of the e-paper display. This is the world records right now. Okay, not only in the bedside, but also in the room information terminal. So we use the same technology as e-paper paperless platform. So we use the e-paper terminal to replace the traditional papers. Of course, you don't need to store, sorting the paper anymore. Since in some law in Taiwan, we have a law, we need to keep the paper for 7 years. It's a huge work. So when we use the digital one, you can send to the cloud, give you a timestamp to protect the timestamp can protect the security. So you can make sure the document didn't be modified. Somebody was talking about the digital document maybe be modified, but we use the timestamp function to avoid these things. Okay, so in the next. It's something that hardware look like this one. It's A4 size, and it's an e-paper design like Amazon Kindle, but you can write something on it. Okay, so this is the advantage. So normal paper, and paper is not mean saving paper because we are talking about storage and talking about sorting. So that's how we can help the doctor and nurse. So the one is the intelligent vital sign station. Actually, this one is quite popular in the Asian area. We already saw this one into China, into Vietnam. Okay, so what is they do? You can use your ID card or register and get all the vital sign data by your own. So this data not only sent to the HIS, but sometimes they will send to some cloud server. Okay, so something like this one, we have a UI design with audio and video instruction. So this can send to the cloud data integration, so they will become a big data application and online to offline application. So not only hospital, but sometimes for example, the pharmacy can set this machine and then can collect people's customers' information and send a good request and some, I think, sale guiding, something like that. Okay, this is our system. We combine a lot of hardware. We use our technology to edge analysis with some AI technology and trace all the log and send to the cloud. And this cloud data can send to another applications. Okay, this is some the automatic dispensing cabinet. We use this. We want to control the control drugs, some like a sleep pill or some morphine. So we use some RFID recognition, face recognition. So once you get the identification, you can get your scan the prescription or even log into the system because this system already linked to the HIS, linked to the pharmacy system. So you will know which patient need to take what pills. So the right classes will auto pop out to make sure there's no mistake when you are taking the medicine. Okay, we even have some disinfection, prevent get, combine air shower, disinfectant spray, and some temperature modification. And there's some real case we're doing in the Yuanning Christian Hospital in Taiwan. And there's some TOF, time of flight, for prevention solution features. We use this one as a non-identification functions. So we will make sure the patient's privacy. So we can use this one to detect patient is lying on bed, leaving the bed, or even falling down the bed. There's some real case we are doing. You can see the patient sleeping on the bed and moving. So we have a status like this one. Okay, we have another technology that's a pressure sensing bed. So this is mostly for the stroke patient. They can sense in and then prevent the pressure wound. Okay, so about combined of this one, there's many solutions right here. So actually, we, as a system provider, we use this system as a modularized design. So this is a picture what we already do in Taiwan's hospital. So all the system can be modularized design. So not only the new hospital can choose, the old hospitals still can choose what they want and integrate into the right now the system they already have. So I'll show you some pictures already done in Taiwan. You will see some fancy word environment control, some broadcasting and curing, and some smart word with the e-paper bedside display. And we even have doing some robot system and telemedicine platform, and the smart counters. So we have many experience in Taiwan, and we already succeed in most of Taiwan medical centers. So as soon medical care is the same topic, we want to share and we want to have the chance to cooperation or have the
To all the audiences online, sorry that we have some technical problems. We really appreciate your patience and your cooperation, and we will be back soon in a minute. Thank you.
And I'm from a startup called AMI, Artificial Intelligence for Medical Epidemiology. So as a public health practitioner, what we try to do and our vision is to create an ecosystem of digital epidemiology and to create a public health like never before. We believe in tackling disease before they happen. So what we build is a predictive and analytic platform for decision makers in cities, countries around the world. What put us apart from the normal health tech company is that rather than measuring the disease itself, we try to focus on measuring the social determinants of health. And what are these? Social determinants of health are the conditions in which we are born and grow, we live and work and affect our health and well-being. So rather than simply measuring the disease, what we try to do is we measure the factor that caused the disease in the first place. We have also been specializing in using multitude of unstructured data. So for example, weather data, geographic data, socioeconomic data, and put that all together into a predictive modeling for disease outbreak prediction. I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of questions and there will be a lot of use case that we'll be able to share later on, but I think the two most important innovation that we come up with and is of public interest at the moment are our works in COVID-19. So we can divide it into two work. One is Solangka, which is basically an e-tracing ecosystem, the first one in Malaysia. And the second one is our machine learning predictive platform in terms of outbreak prediction. So the first one is Solangka. So what is it? It's basically a QR code based e-tracing solution. And why do we come up with this? Because I think when it comes to contact tracing and a conversation about contact tracing, there have been a lot of focus on utilizing the Bluetooth application, but we know for sure that this could be problematic, and it could be problematic because in a setting like Malaysia and in a lot of low and middle income setting country, the issue has always been interoperability. The issue has always been the penetration of smartphone, and also the issue have always been on whether people would actually download those apps. So what we come up with is a simple solution. The solution is basically a cost-free, single-step, and automatic sign-in system that leverage on QR technology. It is a crowdsourced solution. So conceptually, it is not much difference from people leaving their name or registering at a register desk whenever they enter a premise. But rather than having a separate visitor logbook, we then turn all these logbook into a digital one, and we make it be able to search centrally. We create a centralized data log, and therefore you will be able to track individuals that are traveling or sharing the same transport and visitors located in the same premise at a given time. One of the other metric of success is also adoption, and why businesses and offices are willing to adopt it was because the cost of adoption is very cheap, right? So if you think about it, the only thing that the stores and the businesses need to come up with is basically to print out one A4 poster, and they can get their unique QR code uniquely from the website. So let me share you some impact, and this is only about 1 month. 1 month into our penetration, what you can see is that about 205,000 premises in the state of Selangor have been using it, and we have a unique number of visitors at 7.3 million, with a total number of scan log at about 67 million. And this is 1 month after implementation. It means that because the solution is simple and because it's a no-brainer, and therefore I think it creates a lot of readiness by the business society to actually adopt it. But it's not only about the adoption of business. Likewise, you must also have a support from the healthcare stakeholder. So in this picture, we have been training the health personnel for contact tracing and how they can utilize the platform to help them facilitate their contact tracing work. So the data collection is one part, but I think the back end, what is more interesting is how we mine those crowdsourced data field and to make it into something which is more coherent. When you create such a big data lake, when you try to analyze 67 million lots of data, that wouldn't be easy. And this is where actually you tap into a computational power in order to distinguish what kind of interaction will create a false positive, or what kind of interaction will seemingly will make it more coherent to actually deploy your test kit from. And this is basically how we conduct contact tracing, at least in Selangor. So that is one part of the solution. And the second part of the solution is when we collect all of this data, when we collect all of this dwelling data, we further tap into other data lake. So those data lake consist of the pensioners data set, the state welfare data set, likewise the density and location of population with comorbidity. And what we come up is we come up with this predictive platform. It's not only that you can trace the COVID-19 cases retrospectively, but likewise when you apply those data into this algorithm, into this Acura dashboard, you got what it culminated with is it culminated into this map of prioritization, right? What it aspired to do is that it tried not to, so I'm sure everyone knows about lockdown, and usually when we have a lockdown in a state, usually like the entire country have to be put under lockdown. So it was very difficult at the early phase of the outbreak on how the public health practitioner can determine the boundary of the outbreak and how big of an area they need to put it under lockdown. And I think that's what put us apart. So in this very figure that is currently being shown on the screen, this is how the machine learning algorithm actually further separate a certain district. For example, if you look into Gombak, you measure the population vulnerability. And therefore, you know that you don't have to close the entire district of Gombak, but then you further subdivided it. And the division is made heuristically. It was not made across a certain administrative border, but it was made by the determination of the machine learning algorithm. So in short, what we are trying to measure for COVID-19 was not really the size of the fire, because by then the outbreak is already too big. So rather than we measure the size of the fire, we measure the size of the fuel to the fire. So if we are using the analogy of bushfire, rather than measuring the size of the fire, we measure the size of the dry bushes. So it means we can know in advance if a certain neighborhood in particular see this current magnitude of outbreak, we can predict at the very least of 80% accuracy, where will be the next 5 neighborhood will experience a similar magnitude of the outbreak. So yeah, I think our unique value proposition for our Akura platform is that it first have this machine learning capacity to micro-targeted neighborhood for risk profiling and stratification. And the second one, it also have a machine learning powered cluster similarity analysis that will enable us to predict the future pattern of an outbreak. So prediction is all good, but the question is like, how does all of this translate into practice? So what it allows us to do, because I am also part of the Selangor Task Force for COVID-19, what it allows us to do is like, in practice, it allows us to better use our limited test kit. So if you only have a limited test kit, if you only have a limited rapid response team, what you want to do is like, you want to be able to prioritize where you deploy your team, where you deploy your test kit. And I think this is how, at the very least, this is how in Malaysia we do it, so that we can still create a community testing SOP, despite the number of limited resource that we have. And that is obviously our 2 latest projects, but previously we have also been dwelling in other disease. So for example, our early project back in 2017 was a dengue outbreak identification and prediction platform. We like to call it ARBO. The first site that we piloted was during the Rio Olympic of 2016. And since then, the predictive platform system have been deployed in a number of countries and in a number of cities and states across 3 continents. So the system now currently is used in the state of Penang, in Selangor, in Brazil to some extent, and some other cities as well as a pilot deployment. What it able to do, just like the COVID-19 predictive platform, we are facing this issue of limited responding. So the map, the AI basically will be able to create a prioritization map. So you know which outbreak to attack and which outbreak you probably can let it to disappear naturally. Our another not so disease venture is into gender violence and public safety. So this is our project in Dominican Republic, where we basically use AI to identify and predict the emergence of domestic abuse. It was a part of our project with Plan International, which is the largest international NGO for women's health and domestic safety. And this is our short project together with Percaso, where it's basically an ecological-based NCD surveillance. Likewise, rather than relying on blood tests to tell whether people are more likely to develop diabetes in the future, what we do in AMI is we try to profile people, we try to profile the population tendency to develop into disease based solely on their postcode. It means like where do live and where do they work basically will be translated into their risk factor. So if you live in an area with a high density of fast food joint, for example, then definitely you have a more tendency to develop diabetes and hypertension as opposed to people who have more access to a nutrition dense food. I think all in all, that will be my presentation, and I'll be more than happy to take your question during the panel session later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Helmi Sakaria. Next, I would like to invite our keynote speakers again on stage to have a Q&A session. We would like to apologize that we will not be able to cover all the questions that have been submitted. However, we have selected a few which we will invite our speakers to answer. Okay, so at the very first beginning, the first question is for Mr. Stephen Zhang founder of an ADI system called Taiwan. The question is, what is the first step for traditional industries to introduce smart applications?
Okay, thank you. Thanks. This list of a question. For the question, I have two answers. The first, traditional manufacturing, I suggest you make your factory digitalized. In other words, you can add in a sensor to detect your machine data and get the data for next step prepare. And the second, I suggest you can build up the 3D on scale modeling of with your manufacturing, because you can to understand your whole manufacturing and all the status and problem for next step planning. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Zhang. And then as for the second question, this will be a question for Mr. Sim Hong Wei, Chief Operating Officer, MDT Innovations Malaysia. The question is, as a technology provider, what were the challenges you faced when approaching end users for digital transformation?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. I think from our experiences, the most important so-called hurdles and also most painful one is actually people. I think people always refuse to change, especially those who are in an industry which is actually running across generations, and when people has a resistance to change, a lot of transformation will fail. So I think in order for us to actually take our first step to introduce transformation, especially digital transformation, the most important thing is actually to change of mindset. So a top-down approach from the founder or from the CEO will be ultimately very important, and this instruction has to be taken into consideration and also listened by the staffs downwards. So that is the first obstacle that we always face. Of course, second obstacle will be always about cost itself. People may be afraid of change, but also people may be afraid to spend. A lot of brick and mortar businesses are probably surviving, from day to day onwards, and they may not make enough profit in order for them to reinvest into the business. So a lot of obstacles also come from financial perspective, whereby they don't even know whether they will be surviving next week or even next month. So therefore, the fear of actually putting in investment in digital transformation it's always been there. So but fortunately, I think especially in the context of Malaysia, the government of Malaysia has introduced a lot of so-called incentive, for these businesses to actually apply and get some funding for them to actually get something kick-started. So I think for Malaysian context, it's pretty manageable. I'm sure in other countries, probably in Taiwan or Greater China, even in Singapore or Southeast Asia, there are also government initiatives to actually propel the manufacturing industry. So that is my thought.
Thank you, Mr. Sim. The coming question goes to Wenqin Li, CMIO of Shouchuan Healthcare System Taiwan. The question is, what is the benefit of the hospital when implementing new technology like mobile EMR?
Thank you for your question. We developed the smart mobile EMR so that doctors can still understand the patient's condition after leaving hospital. As a doctor, one major stress is the sudden change of the patient condition, such as shock, respiratory failure, or even fever. Use this system, I can see the patient's condition I take care anytime and anywhere. The mobile EMR can display medical record, consultation record, laboratory data, image, medication, and the TPR record. Of course, this system has permission control to protect patient privacy. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lee, for all the sharings. The coming question is for Mr. Yijin Shan, Chief Technology Officer, Stratec Health. The question is, how are you able to penetrate developed markets such as America and Japan?
Good questions on that. I think first is to understand the market, right? So you have to find a sweet spot in the market, and then you have to get into that sweet spot. Like for example, the EHR system or the healthcare system in US has been mature for quite some time, and there are few big players already in the market there. But this big system, because of they have been in the market for so long, and they are using the old technologies. And then also their system has been developed with layers of technology that wrapping the old technology together. So it formed like a big giant system. So they have a long implementation time. They required a bigger implementation timeline, and also the bigger hardware to do the implementation. So I think that as a new player, we don't go for that market because of they already have brand, they already have the strength on that. So for a new player, we have to go into the sweet spot. Like for example, how we get into US is we look into the smaller hospital, rural hospital, where those hospitals that they cannot afford to go with the newer system, bigger system, but because of the compliance requirement, they need to still produce a lot of reports to the government. They still have to fulfill to the meaningful use, HIPAA compliant, but just that they don't have enough money to do those. So we have to find a better way to do that so that we can use a much lower cost that we can get in the market and then get rid of the CapEx. Just provide them OpEx model. So they make the entry barrier so low that we can get much easier into the market. And because of all these small hospital and rural hospital, they don't have big IT. So we have to also put in a lot of hand holding to them. So that's why that you see our platform that we put in a lot of workflow customization, and we put in a strong integration that will help them to integrate with whatever system that they have, and also give them options that they do not need to throw away all systems. They just throw away some system that is already aged and they cannot use, and still continue with some other system that they can use. So we give them a lot of flexibility and no CapEx, just OpEx, and then we manage the IT for them because we put in the cloud and we leverage the public cloud of AWS so that we save all the costs and we change all those benefits back to the customer. So it becomes so much easier to get into this market. I believe that get into all these bigger market, this is the way to go. Find for the sweet spot and get into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yi, for the answer. The coming question goes for Mr. Xie Binrong, ASEAN Managing Director of IMETech. The question is, what is the first step to achieve smart hospital?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inquiring. So as soon smart hospital actually is a big topic, I will define it. What is smart hospital? Smart hospital is use AI, OT device or new technology like AI, 5G to help the patient to get better and that hospital experience, and also help the caregivers in the hospital. So how to achieve the first step? Of course, you need to become a digital platform like HIS. All the hospitals in Malaysia already have that. So once the HIS, the platform, digital platform already succeed, we might be the first, in my personal opinion, might be optimize the outpatient experience. For example, when the patient go to the hospital, they don't want to wait. They want to reduce the waiting time. They want to know when can they see the doctor. So the smart clinic, the smart curing, and even the vital sign kiosk in a public area is a good choice for you. Actually, you can imagine that once a patient going to the hospital, they can register by their like ID card or some app on their cell phone, so they will know their schedules. And when they are waiting, they can use the vital sign kiosk by themselves. They can get the vital sign data, and all the data will become digitalized and keep in the HIS system. So all the action in the hospital will become digitalized and no mistake. And increase the efficiency, of course. So I assume this is a very efficient way and very suitable way to get into the smart hospital as a first step. Actually, we're also doing that in Taiwan, in Thailand. That's our experience. So that's my suggestion to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Xie. The next question goes to Dr. Hamid Zakaria, Chief Executive Officer at AIME Malaysia. The question is, how do you ensure your organization has the right talent?
Thank you for the question. And I think in order for you to identify talent, first of all, you need to identify your niche. And coming from a public health background, and I am actually a practicing public health doctor, and coming from a public health background and practicing since 2017, I have identified the niche of the problem, and the niche of the problem have always been about tapping into non-health data. So the question is that when it comes to disease, usually the Ministry of Health are the biggest guardian of health data. But in public health, having only health data usually is not enough for you to do any modeling, or it's not enough for you to do any meaningful prediction. When it comes to public health, you have to tap into other sources like educational data set. You have to tap into other data sources like urban planning, and it becomes very clear then that only having a doctor inside the organization would be very, very challenging. That will not put us apart from the current public health practice. So what we do is like we look into people who have public health interests at heart. And you will find that more importantly, actually among the Gen Y and the Gen X. So this is the generation that have a different set of motivation. And people who have this yearning or tendency to save the world. So in other words, they might be skilled in a different sector that have no relation at all in public health. So about 1/4 of our workforce have no training at all in terms of medical or in terms of health, but they do have training in mathematics. They have training in basically urban planning and likewise. But just like what you mentioned, identify talent locally have always been a challenge, right? So a lot of this talent need to be sourced from other country, and therefore we have made our workforce practice to be flexible. And about 2/4 of our workforce is allowed to work remotely, so we can tap into the correct skill set at the correct point of time for a correct answer to a set of questions.
Thank you, Dr. Hamid Zakaria, for all the sharings. We are really honored to have our speakers join in our Q&A session. And also, we really feel appreciated to all the online audiences for all the questions. Thank you once again for all speakers for joining us today. Now we have come to the end for IT Services Sub-Forum. Thank you all for your participants. Our next Sub-Forum will be Biotechnology for Food, Medicine, and Cosmetics Industry. Please join us in virtual conference room at 2 p.m. later. Thank you.